Hi, welcome to episode 2012 of Control Talk Now, your smart buildings videocast and podcast. My name is Eric Stromquist, and you are listening or watching to Control Talk Now, your smart buildings videocast and podcast for the week ending January 15th, 2017. I am joined, and you are joined as usual by the co-host with the most, the man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only, Kenny Smilers from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Kenny, welcome to the show. Big dog.
Well, thank you, Eric. It's great to be here on episode 212 episodes. It's amazing. I still can't believe we're in 2017. The time's moving by so fast. It's just, life is such an incredible process. If you don't stop and smell the roses, it's all gone. And everybody, I went to a movie last night with my wife, and even the actors and actresses that used to be so stunning as young people now are getting aged. And it's just an interesting concept, and it brings us to, of course, the cornerstone of every show now until the Control Trends Awards actually occurs, our 2016 Control Trends Awards. So we're really excited about talking about that, talking about the sponsors, and talking about the categories.
Well, no, we sure are, Kenny. And I tell you what, to your point, when Jennifer Aniston's pushing 50. I mean, don't you remember when we considered her jailbait?
Well, I don't know about jailbait, but she's an amazing woman.
Well, she is. And it's interesting. It's interesting, too, because, I better be careful here. Let's get back to the control. First of all, what movie did you see?
We saw the one with Ben Affleck, Live by Night. Live by Night. Yeah.
Was that any good?
It was just an unusual movie. I mean, but he's really getting talented now. It was a good movie. Yes. Violent. Yes. Talked about probably a lot of how incredible the Roaring '20s were and how brutal it was to take out your enemies. And he tried to be a good guy, but he wasn't a good guy. His dad was a good guy. His dad was a cop. Tried to run him straight. Came out of World War I and just was affected. Saw a lot of brutality there.
Rumor has it, Kenny, and I don't know how true this is, but our friend John Donahue from Boston, a couple rumors floating around. One, that he was kind of a stand-in for Ben. Anytime Ben had to do a love scene, they bring John in because John was a lot more charismatic. And the other rumor is that John Donahue taught Ben Affleck everything he knows about acting. So they're up in Boston, that movie that they did with Robin Williams up there. What was it called? It was so good with Matt Damon and Robin Williams. Oh, what was it? What was it called? You know, the one that made it famous.
It was an incredible movie. He was a genius, and he worked as a janitor and got
right at MIT. Yeah. So rumor has it that John Donahue, that character was based on John Donahue. So I don't know whether it's true or not. If you know John Donahue from Controls Consultants, who just had a birthday, by the way. Won't tell you how old John is, but he's in Hawaii celebrating this week. But when you see John Donahue, ask him about his relationship with Ben Affleck. And Good Will Hunting was the movie. Good Will Hunting.
Nicely done. I was Googling it. There you go. Good Will Hunting. Ask me again.
But it's appropriate because the Control Trends Awards, Kenny, you're right, are coming up. They're almost upon us. We want to spend some time this week logistically talking some more about the Control Trends Awards. And it's kind of appropriate because we think we got superstars in our industry. We think John Donahue's a superstar. We think Scott Cochran's a superstar. We think Brian Turner's a superstar. As a matter of fact, we think all these guys are superstars. So let's talk a little bit logistically, Kenny. Let's go over again where the location is because there might be some confusion with that. And then let's just sort of talk about how things will probably go down on game day.
Certainly, Eric. The most important thing, and again, we can't say it enough and stress enough, is that the Hard Rock Cafe is located on the Strip. It's on the Las Vegas Strip, and it has nothing to do with the Hard Rock Hotel. So the actual address is 3771 Las Vegas Boulevard. So when you get into your Ubers and your cabs or you make your way to the event, make sure you're heading to the Hard Rock Cafe on the Strip. If you're not on the Strip, you're in the wrong place. That's number one. It starts at 6:30 to 9:30, but we do want to let everybody know that there's another event that's occurring prior to the Control Trends Awards at 5 to 6:30. And that would be the Blue Ridge Technology VIP meeting, and it's an invite to all the systems integrators, CGNA members, and all the folks who are going to be there. You're welcome to join Blue Ridge Technology in a pre-Control Trends Awards event. We thank Blue Ridge Technology, Bill Duckelberger, for his outstanding sponsorship and his idea to he just wants to get out and get to meet people, spend some elbow time with guys and girls in the business, and it's going to be a great kickoff to the Control Trends Awards.
Now, let's make a distinction right now, Kenny, because if you show up at 6:30 for the Control Trends Awards, you're late. The award ceremony itself will start at 6:30 sharp. So you really want to plan on getting there at least by 6. Okay, you do not want to be coming in at 6:30, and part of the reason for that is we got a nightclub style setting this time, very much like BB King's. If you were at BB King's in New York, the Control Trends Awards there, and because of that, we are going to have a Southwest style sort of seating thing, and that basically means that our platinum sponsors and their guests are going to get preferential seating. They're going to get to choose their seats first. So we will not have the placards on the table like we've done in the past. Let me say that Kenny's been to the site, and there's not a bad seat in the house, so it's not that big of a deal. But the show will start promptly at 6:30. So what we're envisioning is as the platinums arrive, so they'll be able to go pick their seats first. Our gold, silvers, and bronze will be able to pick their seats after that. But let's stress again: if you show up at 6:30, you are late, because the show will start at 6:30 sharp.
Eric, you're so right. And what we're going to do here is I'm going to take the opportunity to I'm going to get a floor plan up here just to give everybody an idea. Do you think it's a good idea? Where we can actually show people, and the reason why too, and like you said, it's a very unique venue in the fact that it's designed for viewership and engagement from the bar area into the stage. I mean, there's no
rock
bad
and roll
seats
concerts.
there.
Yeah,
There's no bad seats. I mean, and some people don't want to sit up front because they have they just prefer to have proximity to the aisles and whatever. So you'll get to see the gold, like you said, the Southwest concept is a very appropriate analogy, because the preferential seating will go to the platinum sponsors, and they'll get to go in there, but they might not want to sit up front. They might want to sit over here, and the table settings are in measures of 8. So what we're going to see here very shortly on a graph is the
While you're looking at that up, Kenny, let me just say that part of what the Control Trends Awards is that we all compete all year long against each other. We basically kick the crap out of each other, but this is the one day of the year that we come together as a group, as an industry, to celebrate each other. So, bottom line, you might be sitting next to a competitor. That's never been a problem in the past, but we will tell you, if you wind up sitting next to a competitor and you wind up getting in a fist fight with them, we reserve the right to video that fist fight and put it on Control Trends. That will really help our ratings. So just be forewarned that by showing up at the awards, you are sanctioning us videoing any fist fights that happen at the Control Trends Awards. But, there's going to be an open bar, so if you get there at 6 or thereabouts, you'll get to have a drink, you'll get to be part of the festivities. We'll have a lot of stuff going on, which is going to be absolutely awesome. And then, like I say, you might be sitting next to a competitor, you might not be, but the bar will be open after the show as well, kind of like it was last year. So it really is an opportunity to come together to celebrate, and that's what it really is, Kenny. It is our day of celebration. It is our Golden Globes night. It is our Academy Awards night. Whatever analogy you want to use, that's what it is. It's a celebration. It's to feel good about our industry, about each other, and to really shine the spotlight on all the great people, great companies, and great products. And you know what?
Here's the thing. The criticality is, and I don't want to give away anything. And that's the important thing, is there's a surprise start. So you need to be sitting down, relaxed, with the drink of your choice in your hand to start the Control Trends Awards, because it is going to be a supersonic beginning of the Control Trends Awards show. And we're talking about the aging process. This is our 5th show, so we've been very fortunate to learn at every occasion, to get better at it, to make it more of a, just that Hollywood moment that we're trying to conceive. So when you walk in the steps or take the elevator up to the 2nd floor, I think they say it's on the 3rd floor, but I don't remember having 3 floors. I remember it being on the 2nd floor. But when you come into, we'll have it very well marked. You won't miss it. The outside of the marquee on Las Vegas Strip is going to say the 2016 Control Trends Awards. We're going to get some sponsorship time up on the most amazing marquee in Las Vegas. I think it's the longest one, 76 feet long, I believe. So anyhow, imagine that you come in, you get into the however you enter, you're going to enter into the VIP, and you're just going to literally walk into a new world. This is going to be the Control Trends Awards. The environment, the venue is just going to be all about our industry. So it's a very particular time, and everything focus is going to be about the great people in our industry. So we're going to be talking to the men and women. If you're into the industry and you really enjoy what you do for a living, then this is where you want to be. This is a capital moment of the apex, the pinnacle of our industry. We're trying to make it that exciting, and we're going to have Ken St. Clair with his group. We're going to have Brad White. We've got some great internal working going on with Michael Bonner and Rob Allen and Stacy McCammon. And so everybody's kind of focused right now. Everything is going to the January 29th venue at the Hard Rock Cafe on the Strip.
It's going to be the who's who, Kenny. And as a matter of fact, we haven't talked about these folks in a while, but I want a special shout out to Larry Weber and the team at Honeywell. Would not be a show without those guys. They're showing up in force. Had an opportunity to have a new executive, Greg Womble, that we got to spend some time with last week. I think he's going to really help shake things up with Honeywell. I think Honeywell is getting ready to make some big moves. Looking forward to seeing those guys. Johnson Controls, Chris Eichmann, Jenny Stentz. We got the folks from Distech coming in for the first time in full force, Distech Acuity Lighting. We already mentioned Bill Duckelberger from Blue Ridge Technologies and his lighting solution. Siemens is showing up in force. I mean, the list goes on. We got Ted Haupt, his team from Hepta Systems, and the panel shop is one of our platinum sponsors. If you need a control panel built with Jaces in them, that's the way to do it. The people in the know are starting to specify those. And Ted and his team at Hepta and the panel shop, that's shoppe.com. Check those guys out. Who else we got, Kenny? We got a whole list.
It's so exciting.
Mark Peacock, yeah.
Well, I mean, we got EZIO, Mike.
Mad Mike Marston, and
the guys from EZIO are going to be there in full force, and
they're bringing half of Europe with them, Kenny. It's going to be awesome.
It's important to say it's going to be a sellout. So when we talk about the need to be there on time, imagine you've got we have 300 plated seats at this particular time, and so it's a sellout. And we've got people asking from all over the world. They're coming in at various times. How can they get on board? And of course, our first referral is to your sponsor. So if you're Tritium Vicon, you want to reach out to Ed Merwin and Scott Bain and Jetty Graves. If you're Honeywell, your local Honeywell guy. If you're Siemens, reach out to Seth Wald and Josh Felprin. If you're KMC, KMC is going to be there, and they've got an incredible following.
Do they ever? Yeah.
So we've got Optergy, a company out of Australia that they said they're going to bring more than 20 folks. And I said, okay, great, but you got 20 tickets. Contemporary Controls, George Thomas and his group is going to be there, and they've got a full entourage too, and they've always been amazingly gregarious. George Thomas is a former Hall of Fame winner. We've got EZIO. We've got Eugene Mazzo, the Acuity folks. We've got Dan Flaherty from Distech. We've got
Neptronics coming in. Neptronics is coming in, right?
We've got Louis Malgaris and Biagio. We've got Gina Elliott from Schneider Electric. Barry Gordon and the crew, the Schwunns from ACI. We've got Sarah
Supply coming in. Connect Air, Sarah Montreal. You're right. And then,
Functional Devices, BASSG. Alper is going to be there, and Alper is he's gunning for one of the awards. He's got an amazing, a line of edge controllers, and he does great graphics. So he's another guy that's kicking real hard. And then we've got CJ&A. So we've got Jim Heyman and the boys coming in. So that's just, I think that's almost all our sponsors. If we missed anybody this time, we'll make sure we get you in the next round. But so we got a full boat. We got a full floor of people that are in the industry. It's all about us.
Kenny, we might be in jeopardy for the first time seriously of not being able to get people seated. Like I said, we've got enough for the people that actually have the tickets. Our platinum sponsors have the tickets. We've got some other people that might be coming in late. But again, can encourage you, urge you, please get there early. Platinum sponsors will get the seating first, and after they'll get to choose their seats first. And after that, the gold, the bronze, the silver. We'll have places for people. You just might not have a meal, but the bar will be open. So Kenny, this is going to be the biggest show yet. Excited about it. It's going to be magic. What can I say?
Well, and that's our theme: magical moments in the HVAC industry, and it's gonna be fun too, because I think the rush that we've had sometimes, like in Chicago and even at BB King, because there's another event taking place before or after, we always have to kind of get in and get out. Where this is going to be a very casual affair, where we're going to be able to get the VIP people coming into the Blue Ridge Technology, and so I think there's 50 to 70 people coming for that. So if you haven't been invited, find out why not. Get in touch with Bill Duckelberger or your Blue Ridge Technology folks, because they're really trying to get into the Yeah, just share it's a BACnet night too. So BACnet International is going to be there. Blue Ridge Technology is very big into BACnet. They are a BACnet integration unified lighting control system. So there's some synergy there. But they're looking to show, their hardware off to a lot of the guys that are out there in the BACnet world, the integrators that are looking for solutions, from a very modular, small, one shot, one set of lights to, an entire portfolio, campus wide, and using BACnet as the protocol to control that. So
it's going to be
just
great
some really
stuff. Well, and speaking of heroes, buddy, I tell you what, our buddy Josh Bradshaw was out at the Consumer Electronics Show. We don't have a post on this, but let's bring Josh up. He sent us a video footage of being at the Consumer Electronics Show. But, buddy, you were telling me he sort of made the local news. He saved somebody's life. Tell me about that, buddy.
Well, here, it's about a 20-second video. This is a European that was out bicycling on one of the trails in California, and here it is right here. Well, there you go. Just the guy's saying thank you for saving my life. That's pretty
awesome.
incredible.
And I wonder if he was wearing. I wonder if Josh was wearing his bow tie when he saved him. But
no, he's wearing his. He looks like a serious biker. He's got his helmet on. He's got one of those Under Armour coats that are the top. It's one of those gears.
Well, listen. Let's put it in perspective, because Josh, if you haven't been on Control Trends in a while, is our sort of correspondent in Silicon Valley, one of the most innovative, creative guys. Kenny, we've got to go to the CES. It's a Consumer Electronics Show next year. A lot of the control people are there. As a matter of fact, Josh, I'm going to show a clip here of Josh. He was actually out with our friends from Legrand, WattStopper Legrand. And let's take a listen to what Josh and WattStopper have in store.
Hello everybody, coming to you from CES once again to talk about the Work Tech Work mantra. Don't work for technology, make technology work for you. This little video is going to be our shout out to the Control Trends and ControlTalk audience, because here we have found smart buildings at CES. So I am at the Legrand booth, and you might recognize better the name WattStopper for those of you in the control space. And I have Tyler Jennings here, who's going to tell me a little bit about what they are showing here at CES. Tyler?
Good morning, Josh. Good morning, everyone. Today we're talking about how we're using lighting control, plug load control, and shade control to make it super simple for an owner or an occupant of a space to make the technology work for them instead of being confused. How many times do you go into a conference room and you don't know what button to hit to get it into presentation?
How many times do you not go into a conference room and have that happen?
Yeah, all the time.
Right. We've all had that happen. Even if you're not into smart buildings, you've had that happen to you.
Yeah, for sure. So what we're showing is how you have occupancy sensors, plug load control, daylight components. All of these components talk to a brain in the room, and I can visualize everything in that space. I can visualize my shades if I want to control them, turn them up and down. I can come over here and look at my lights. But most importantly, I have the ability to look at it from a room level and control that here together. And I can take everything I'm doing in this room and then connect it to the cloud via BACnet, and I can connect.
I'm glad you said BACnet, because being a controls kind of geek, I want to make sure that there's a good way to do that. So coming straight in through BACnet, everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Right.
So the beauty of it is we can take all the components in the room. They talk BACnet directly natively here, and then I can take a Jace or a segment manager, and everybody knows that, and I can play with whoever you want and show you that data room by room, building by building, whatever kind of aggregation you want to show. We can give you plug load, lighting, every different type of load in that space.
That's great. So now you've had your smart building fix from CES. Thanks, Tyler, for sharing. That was great.
Yeah, thanks, Josh.
Right.
So very cool stuff there, Josh. Thanks a lot for that, and thanks for the shout out. We really appreciate it. And yeah, Kenny, I tell you what, WattStopper's got some cool stuff. They're up for the lighting solution of the year, so hopefully they'll be there. We haven't heard from them. We've reached out to them a couple of times, but cool product, and it's kind of cool the way they're integrating the occupancy sensor, the light harvesting, and the plug load with that cool little interface. So good stuff from WattStopper, and I think it's kind of a good segue, Kenny, because we reach out to all the nominees. During the nomination process, we sort of stay out of it, and the Control Trends community basically determines who the finalists are in each category. And Kenny and I really endeavor to reach out to the finalists and let them know they're finalists. We offer up Control Trends as, a medium to reach our voting community. A lot of the smart vendors, they will, engage their network as well and ask them to vote. And then some people we can't get hold of them. They don't return phone calls. And it's unfortunate because you get, companies that have really great products that don't get the same visibility just because they, they don't take the opportunity. So, anyway,
well, you're certainly right, and the thing about it is that this whole world's connected. We talk about collaboratoriums and the collaboration that goes on in our industry. Some of these great vendors have champions out in the field that are gunning for systems integrator of the year, and and they're not connecting they're not giving those guys the opportunity to be exposed the way they could. So it's like a win-win-win-win. The manufacturer, the building automation system, the contractor, the distributor, can engage their community and then help the deserving folks get recognized for the great jobs they do out there in the industry. So we can't do it without the information. We have to kind of piggyback off of what we're given. So most of the time when we go out there, we're anxious to generate media collateral, and that's why we go to the shows and everything. But it would really help if some of the other people would help forward information about their folks, their champions, especially the ones that are they're nominated.
Oh, the ones that made the finals, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, come on, help us out.
Help yourself out. I mean, you can lead a horse to water. I mean, at the end of the day, the Control Trends community votes, and what we found, Kenny, over the years is to be successful and win an award, you really have to do two things. One, you have to engage your own network. You have to let them know, hey, please vote for us, or we're up for these nominations, vote for us. The second thing is you really have to you have to engage the Control Trends community, and that can be done either by sending posts to us, coming on the show, sending us videos, and we will put any of those up we get. And then, the voting committee. And so what happens with a lot of people, so you might have somebody that is, like, let's say, a Bill Duckelberger thing. So he's primarily voting, or she's primarily voting because she's in the lighting business. She knows about Bill Duckelberger. But then you have to fill the entire ballot out. So she might see Larry Weber, for example, from Honeywell and something. And she goes, well, I don't know who these other executives are, but I do know who Larry is. So I'm going to vote for him. So it's the opportunity to get great feedback. And then the other thing that happens is, as one of my teachers said, perception is reality when it comes to customer service and how you're perceived in the marketplace, and you don't get a vote. So it's tremendous feedback, but the only way you get the feedback is if you sort of engage. And most of the people they do a great job with that. And at the end of the day, that's sort of the success formula. So, but hey, dude, I tell you what, I want to go through some of the categories, but before we do that, we had big news this week. Tritium has a new head man, and Kenny, how about talking a little bit about the new guy?
Well, yeah, we were anxious to see who was going to fill the shoes of Nino DeCosmo, because Niagara 4 was just on a roll. Jenny Graves and the folks there have taken Niagara 4, and the transition from AX to Niagara 4 has just been an amazing success. I haven't heard of anything but people saying this is looking good, because they upgrade everything. They upgrade all the HTML5. They upgraded security. They upgraded everything. They made the experience a little bit more like the software manufacturer companies that we're familiar with, like Windows or whatever. So when John Sublett introduced Tritium's president and general manager Jim Bland to the Niagara and Control Trends community, it was a very, very big moment in Tritium Niagara 4 history, because this is it. The guy obviously had to be super qualified. Jim has to have a background that's IoT centric, but he also is going to be able to come out there and make some changes and do things that are going to benefit the success of Niagara 4. So again, Jim comes from Snap Data.io, a startup company that designs and develops sensors, data communication, hardware, analytics software. He's also managed several national and global businesses, ranging from the startups to the Fortune 500 enterprises. So you're looking at a massively talented executive that's coming into a very challenging position, and with all the challenges come rewards. So we welcome Jim to the Control Trends community and to our branch of the Niagara community, because we've certainly benefited from Niagara 4 and look forward to a lot of future successes with it.
Yeah, Jim, welcome to the Control Trends community. We look forward to getting you on the show. sometime soon. And again, man, that's good stuff. Good stuff. And talking about good stuff, Kenny, our man Mark Peacock and his team, Terry Swope and the boys at Link Spring, they just keep rocking and rolling. One of the trends we've talked about is going from edge to enterprise. I think Link Spring is right at the heart of it with their edge controllers, as is our friend Alpert that we mentioned before. So, what can you tell us about the post Link Spring new edge to enterprise IoT solution?
Well, I think LinkSpring is, again, a company that we've watched in the last, say, 4 to 5 years just grow exponentially. Just grow from the concept where they filled their own needs. Terry Swope is an amazing executive in the fact that he couldn't get satisfaction from the automation folks that he was dealing with at the time. He couldn't get off job sites. He was a contractor, and he was determined to figure out what he needed to make change in the industry to do a complete A to Z installation and do it well. And at some point, Terry and his staff oriented themselves into being a solutions provider that provides hardware and software and technical support and training. So they have a big step, their big footprint in the Niagara world, and they also have the new edge to enterprise and IoT solutions that show the range they're getting. So LinkSpring's on the growth curve, and they have certain products that they're very excited to show at the Expo, the 2017 at the Las Vegas Convention Center. They're going to be in booth C as in Charlie 1680 in the Building Automation Control Showcase, and I think that's where everybody, in our neighborhood, it's going to be right in the thick of the HR show. Is that the C160 that row has a lot of big control manufacturers there, but they're going to be showing their new edge connectivity. So it's all about access to information at the edge becoming more important to do your building and facility automation correctly and efficiently. A lot of stuff we're seeing that a lot of data is going up into the cloud, and one day the cloud services are probably going to get expensive, and they're probably going to want to make your data their proprietary stuff. So I think the more solutions that are being provided at the edge to help feed into the existing enterprise without leaving station and coming back. So there's many benefits of doing that. But so contact Mark and the guys. Mark's done a great job as the Chief Communications Officer and Vice President of Marketing at LinkSpring.
And as our Master of Ceremonies, again, along with the lovely Kimberly Brown. How good does that get, man? How good does that get?
We are going to be talking a little bit more about that. In fact, we're scheduled to talk in depth with Mark. As you know, we're doing the final planning and the final preparations for the control trends, and it's a show. It's going to be
a production, baby. And I tell you what, the thing I love about edge controllers is I always think of that guitarist for U2, the Edge, man. So let me ask you a question: if you had to be a rock and roll star, who would you be? If you had to be.
Oh, geez. Well, rock and roll star or a Beatle or I like the Allman Brothers a lot. I thought
you got to pick one though. Pick one. That's who you're going to be for eternity. Pick them now.
Okay. Eric Clapton.
Eric Clapton. Okay. All right, Jimi Hendrix right here, man. I tell you what. So there you go.
Well, he went out early. He had a good time.
I said for eternity. So that means you just get to live the good years over and over and over again. So Mick Jagger probably be kind of fun to be too, man.
Paul McCartney probably had the most balanced normal life, though.
Yeah. Ron Howard did a documentary on them, by the way, that I saw on Netflix the other night about their early years when they were touring. And I tell you what, those guys were the hardest working guys. I think it's lost on people just how hard they worked.
Sure.
When they were doing that Hamburg thing for however many months they were over there, they were playing, 12, 16 hours a day, doing show after show after show. And that gets into Malcolm Gladwell's sort of 10,000 hour rule about really becoming a master at something. But those guys were just absolute masters. And well, listen, buddy, I tell you what, talking about masters, I had a chance. We did ControlTalk Rewind with our friend Bill Duckelberger. And I tell you what, man, he is one of the absolute greats in the industry. Kenny, tell him a little bit about Bill and your thoughts on him.
Well, again, I think this picture here shows you some of the interesting aspects. That's a nice photo that captures Bill in the middle of an explanation, and you getting a kick out of it because he could have been a comedian too on TV. He's a sarcastic guy, but it's the humor's first class. But he's just so serious about what he does and his desire to succeed with a product that's been thought out so thoroughly. From a guy that starts out, like you say, always holding a broom in a warehouse and then learning the business from the ground up, literally the ground up, how things were made. If you look at the products that they make, they're so well engineered because it's from a contractor's perspective. He spent a great deal of time with ALC and saw how that whole business took off. And he was in the trenches and rose to the top executive position. And then when he saw things happening to the lighting side of it, he couldn't take it. He had to take personal charge of that, bought it, and then develop it again. So it's designed with the heart and soul of a guy, that grew up in the industry, lived in the industry, and survived all the hard parts of the industry, but come up with products that, have these unique features in that separate the low voltage from the communication and make things easier for contractors' perspective. So this is a contractor designed product that if you learn how to use it, it'll make you handsome dividends. So, and he also has a great staff. So he goes into great detail about the support personnel nominee, Christy O'Neill. And then Bill shares his ways on how Lighting a Smart Building, led him to become a nominee for Controls Executive of the Year and the PID award. So the PID is very sweet. Why don't you tell us about why Bill qualifies as PID?
Well, absolutely. Again, I think we should break down that whole category after this too, Kenny. But and you know what? I like to do that when we break the category down. But what I do want to say real quick about this particular video, if you saw Bill on the show about 3 weeks ago, we've added a bonus track here. So you definitely want to check this video out again. You want to go to the end because Bill's got some new products that he actually shows us. And I think, for the sake of this video, I think what you get with Blue Ridge is you get great technical support. You're going to see these products these modular products he's putting together, really with the systems integrator in mind. And Kenny, you know what Acuity, Blue Ridge, and Watts Doppler Legrand all have in common? They are all pushing to get the lighting underneath the building automation control guide, because basically lighting has so much to do with the comfort and the productivity and the space. So those guys all have that in common.
Sure.
But it's a great video, but the bonus track is worth checking that out at the end of it when Bill goes through the new products he has.
Right. And I say that so much of our world is learning, and picking up the latest iterations and latest generations. It never stops. And woe to the person that gets long in the tooth because the IoT, as we mentioned many times with Ken St. Clair and Automated Buildings, how the expectations of the next customer sets and the user experiences we're having a whole retooling of how we present the products that we sell and the solutions that we sell, how that is sold and what the expectations are. I remember the first invitations we had to learn the hospitality suite. It was a whole different ballgame. And then through the Realcomm and IBCOM, how the end users that are the massive, global and nationwide, real estate companies, what their expectations were. And then we come to the 300 metric, where now we actually do have a good product and it's open and we can do integration to a very, very, very fine degree and save energy and provide comfort. And now we're seeing that shift and go into the 300 metric, where when you make somebody more productive and they have a greater user experience, they're going to come back and they're going to be expecting you to take their enterprise and from the one building enterprise to a multi distributed facility enterprise. They're going to expect you to be the one that they can go to, and the one that's going to make sure that you can take data and make it part of their business format. Because as we learned again from Ken St. Clair and some of the other folks that we've been working with, that data now is going to become ubiquitously important. It's important everywhere. So not just the 72 degree and happy, or the humidity is 42%, or the data room is a nice cool temperature and you're maximizing your economizers, and all that's expected now. But now you have to serve that data up so that it can be actionable and it can be relevant to the selling processes. So now the retail manager now knows that he's got a group of people over on this side of his store. That's where we need to make sure people are comfortable, and we're also priming them with opportunities. That they if they're into beacons and they're into different things, that they can use that now as part of their business.
Absolutely, Kenny. Well, listen, let's break down the PID award. Professionalism, integrity, and dedication. So I've kind of got them up here, Kenny, on the screen, and let's just walk through them and say a few words about them, because this, to me, is one of the great awards. And bottom line with this award, you once you win it, you're sort of in the club. And as a matter of fact, I think we got Roger Rebenak and Mike Marson, two previous winners of the Professionalism, Integrity, Dedication Award. I think are going to present this award this year. But first up with that, Kenny, we have Lim Hoon Chat from EasyIO. Man, Lim is just all these guys epitomize it. But talk to me about Lim, in your opinion.
Well, Lim comes from very humble origins. We had a control. Talk Now interview with Lim, and you went off and did a control person where we had a one-on-one interview where Lim talked about his childhood and how he got involved in technology and electronics, and how they built a television set that they would watch for 3 months and the thing would collapse or crap out, and they had to build something else. But they were constantly taking the latest technologies and playing with it as children. And the mentorships, how it was so important, how he got involved with different people that were using his talents and challenging him to come up with great creative products, all the way to him in his role right now with EasyIO. So it was a marvelous story of just a human interest story where you saw somebody from another part of the world just get so good at something that he was picked up by Tritium. He met Jerry Frank over in Malaysia, I believe, or Indonesia, and they met, and he got hired there, and how he contributed to the Niagara world, and then went into EasyIO, and now he is having so much fun. His latest kick is 3D printers. Yeah, I don't know if you follow Lim.
Of course, I've seen it. Well, listen, Kenny, and next up we have a couple of sets of executives, 3 back to back to back. We got Chris Eichmann from Johnson Controls, Pranay Prakash from Tritium, and Bill Duckelberger from Blue Ridge Technologies. So it's kind of cool. We got, a tech guy, and now we got 3 executives back to back. All these, in my opinion, Kenny, are very, very, very deserving. Chris Eichmann's been around for quite some time. One of the great executives at Johnson Controls. We accuse him of being Charlton Heston because he's a handsome guy. He reminds you kind of Charlton Heston a little bit in terms of kicks ass, takes names, gets the job done. And then Pranay Prakash from Tritium. Pranay is one of the newer executives here, does the marketing for Tritium, does a great job. We've had him on Control Trends quite a bit. Very articulate, very passionate about what he does. And Bill Duckelberger, you asked about him earlier. Bill is, the way I describe Bill is we call him kind of a cross between Sons of Anarchy and Albert Einstein. Another way to say that is Bill is the type of guy that if you're in a barroom fight, you want Bill on your side, and if he's on the other side, you're going to turn and go the other way. He's just that type of a guy, so they're cool. And I tell you what, the next 3 up are Sarah Montaloni, Luis Melgares, and Gina Elliott. Why don't you say a few words about those 3?
Well, last year we had one of the coolest things was Laura Cavett, and the incredible stuff she's done for our industry. But I think what this focuses there, when you see those the names there and where they fit into the industry, I think Sarah Monteleone is one of the most busiest, exactest executives in the business. If she says she's going to get something done, it might take 2 hours, 12 hours, or 24 hours, but it's going to get done, and she follows through. It's amazing, and how thoroughly she does things. So when you work with people and you got to get competitive pricing or something, or you need to know delivery and try to get 40,000 feet of wire, and you need to see where it's going to be and how quickly you can get it to a job, so you can quote it and you can be accurate and you can do your work as well as you can. Sarah gets that done with her folks, but also she sells well. She knows the industry well. She knows what I'm sure she has worked hand in hand with the experts in the different control houses, the different manufacturing houses, where they have nuances, and you have some people use 3 wires for backnet cable, some people use 2, and control the if you don't have a good network, you could have the best controls in the world and have a fortune spent or invested in your analytics or whatever, but if you can't get the network working because you don't have the right tools put in place and installed right, you're in trouble. And she has helped us in several places.
Yeah,
technically.
She has. So technically, she knows her stuff. But Kenny, to your point, and I have to say thanks to Sarah, because all along, Sarah's the type of person that when we first got started with the Control Trends Awards, how can I help? She's introduced us to people. She's encouraged people to come to the awards. She's probably been the best ambassador for the Control Trends Awards, or one of them. But that again is part of the PID. It's just she's a giver, and she sort of makes that happen. And then our next guy, Luis Melgueras. I mean, how cool is that guy, huh?
Well, again, the crazy thing about the folks that we're talking about is that they're all not only the hardworking, not only they're good, competent executives, but they all have histories. Like Luis, he's actually a history major and knows more about the history of North America than most of the people I talk about. I love reading, and we get a chance to talk every now and then. But then he's an accomplished electrician. He went through the electrical trades. When we went down to visit the IBW5 in Pittsburgh, when they opened up their training facility, he knew everything. They were shocked that a guy from the factory, who the Neptronic folks gave some things to the IBW's training facility, some controllers, some valving, and whatever, because they were committed to doing things for the industry at large and to help young people learn, and you need the support of major manufacturers. So Neptronic kicked in there, and the IBW folks were very appreciative. But Luis came personally to check it out, and that's where I really learned more about Luis, is that he has got incredible experiences. He's very well educated through the historical sides, where we were talking about the migration from east to west with tech, when the both frontiers were being developed, how Canada had to keep pace with the United States because. And the railroad is what did it, and how the reasons why, and the political, economic reasons why. It's just a great story. But then all of a sudden we get a call, and I got a problem with something, and I asked Luis, what's the best way to fix this, and can our VAV do this, and can we do the set point adjustments from the stat? He knows those products like the back of his hands, and now he's doing marketing. And again, this is global. And if you remember, the coolest thing that we did with Luis when we went up and visited him was we got to see those gold plates. The gold thermostat covers
yeah.
for the sheiks over there in the Middle East, how everything was in gold plated stuff.
They call them the Trump stats.
Yeah, amazing.
And then Gina Elliott, huh? She is Gina's from Snyder Electric. She's been very instrumental. I think she and Jenny Stentz from Johnson Controls are going to present the first Woman of the Year award, which I'd like to cover those nominees real quick. Although we don't know a lot about a lot of these folks. But Gina came up with the idea for the best video of the year. So very, very bright lady. And then that brings us to Dan Flaherty from Distech, Richard Bogle from Honeywell, Gary Weber from Belimo, and Joshua Felburn from Siemens. So, wow. Dan's been around for a long time, is now with Distech, doing a great job with Distech Acuity Brands. Brilliant guy, hard worker, and he brought Distech to the Control Trends, so we'll forever be grateful to Dan. When we have a Control Trends community, that'll be on the timeline. Distech comes into the fold, and that's Dan Flaherty that did that. And Richard Bogle, I mean, when you start talking about a tech support guy that's in this group, I could go on and on about Richard, but what do you have to say about Richard?
Well, I've taken several of Richard's training courses. He did the Honeywell Boot Camp Security with Roger Revenak and Laura Kevitt, and very smart guy, very, very technically competent, and a very gregarious guy. He's very generous with his knowledge, and because people get tired, when you take a class and then you go away and you forget about it. You got to get help and reminded, and nothing's more frustrating when you're at a project and you can't get past a certain obstacle or hump. It's not like everybody doesn't want to do it, but Richard goes out of his way time and time again to make sure things work, to make sure this happened, and it's always fun to work with. And he has just a long lifeline with Honeywell. His father was he led Honeywell's the entire business unit there for a while, didn't he? I can't remember exactly what years it was, but I know that his father was CEO of Honeywell for a while. So he has the corporate blue blood in him, and
it's almost like a family business for him. Huh?
But he's a nice guy. He doesn't have some people have airs about him, and they're hard to they won't answer the phone or whatever. But Richard, he's down to earth, and he's a really good, solid technician. So he solves a lot of problems, like Laura Kevitt. These guys and girls, they know how things work, and when you can't like I say, get past a certain obstacle or point, and what you need some ideas. These guys can think through it. They put their hand on their chin, and then oh, did you try this? And boom, that was the solution. And then also, he's a great musician. He's an accomplished guitarist, and we were flirting around with having Control Trends Awards van, and of course, that's easier said than done. But he is supposedly can just wail. You talk about your Jimi Hendrix, so I guess he can do it all on different guitars too.
Nice. And of course, Gary Weber is one of our favorite people in the industry. Gary has been in the industry for a very long time with all the major manufacturers, and he's been with Belimo for quite some time now. But Gary is just, again, one of these guys, tremendous integrity, great dedication, a true pro, a pro's pro. So I was really glad to see the community, acknowledge Gary in the nomination period. And Josh Felber, one of our young guns. Josh is a younger guy. He's at Siemens. Siemens has sort of made a move to sort of some younger, innovative executives. And Josh works with us. He started working with us, calling on our account. Innovative guy, hardworking guy, a fun guy to be around. And I think that, you can speak with all these guys and girls. They have a sense of balance in their lives, right? They're people that you would enjoy being around, right? And that's not lost on them. And Josh is just one of the greats. You've worked a lot with Josh too. Anything else to say about him?
Well, I want to talk a little bit about both of them. But Gary Weber, when you talked about him, was experience. I've seen him go into very serious situations where you had people that had counter ideas, and you had people with everybody wanted something at the same time. And I think what Gary did on several occasions was he has these incredible negotiation skills. He learned how to the bargaining to get things done and to move an organization forward past obstacles. I mean, his leadership in Belimo has been it's like almost anticlimactic because it's been so consistent and steady, and the growth was so just every year in, year out, his programs were getting better and better, and his ability to negotiate, these hardships that are obviously going to happen in an industry where you're cutting off different pieces of pie, and people have to compete over those things. So I thought he's always done a great job there. Josh Felprin, he's, I believe, the youngest guy here in the list, probably by far, which kind of indicates that he's a man ahead of his time, or his age. His age belies his experience in the industry and his ability to get things done. Josh asks 1,000 questions because I think he does it. He works with people like Scott Hamilton and the other executives at Siemens. To get things done, you need to have the ability to reach the people that know. And if the world's about how many calls it takes you to get an elephant inside of a library room. That was one of the greatest things that one of my teachers said. When you talked about all of the fabulously wealthy people and connected people, who can get things done quickest? And so these Brits were in this aerostatic, one of these clubs in England, maybe it was a university club or something, and they were all bragging about who had the most power and potency, And they said, okay, well, let's have a contest. We need to get an elephant from the zoo into this room where we're sitting. How many phone calls would it take? So everybody tried. And the guy that showed the most contacts and the most networking and the most sensical approach and logical approach won with 2 phone calls. He knew the owner, the zookeeper, or not the owner, but the zookeeper, and then he had a friend who he knew was an engineer contractor that could cut the door open so the elephant get in there. So he won the contest but that's what Josh does. Josh knows the industry, and like if he needs things ascertained, or if he needs to know about this to make a decision, he has that gregarious style of leadership to get people's information. I mean, when you work with Josh, you feel like you're getting something done.
Very, very cool. Well, listen, Kenny, we got time to break down one more category. What's it going to be? You want to do Control Systems Integrator of the Year, Control Trends Woman of the Year, or is there another one you want to break down?
Well, we have I think one more show that we're going to do, and we're going to have to do the same thing there. The one that I kind of liked, because again, to me, this is about recognition, and we sometimes have an issue with not recognizing and taking for granted some of the incredible solutions and products that are out there, and so if you don't mind, the peripheral product of the year to me has one of the greatest impacts, and has a lot of the people that, again, we take for granted. And we don't have to do it, but we have the peripheral product finalists of the year were ACI, Dwyer Instruments, Functional Devices, Veris, Contemporary Controls, BAPI, Dent Instruments, Sierra Monitor Corporation. Now you talk about an all-star list of cast for a Control Trends movie. Who can get things done and who knows about all the in-between pieces. It reminds me like when you see a great building, a great mason work, but then you see the things that go between the rocks and the bricks and how important that is, the coloring and what that does to a building, especially nowadays or inside of a beautiful hotel or your own bathroom in your house. So you can buy the most expensive tiles, but if you don't have that little stuff, that white thing that makes everything look uniform and doesn't age or whatever, that's what these guys do to our business. These guys make the products that literally took us from the pneumatic to the DDC area. They made all those cool accessory parts, transducers and whatever. They make all the sensors and the switches that we take so for granted, and they've made it to the point where it's so affordable. They've come up with these incredible machines that the fit, form, and the print, the size of it, the form factor has been so reduced, with this incredible thing, whether it's a CO2 sensor where, these guys told me about CO2 and some of the incredible innovations they did. If you remember, the first carbon dioxide sensing things were 7 inches long when they first came out. Teller had them, and the reason why is that chamber had to be that long to measure. The light had to travel 7 inches to be able to, to see how much of the light was absorbed by the carbon dioxide. Well, remember the first incredible, invention that somebody did, or not invention, but deviation, innovation, was they made a clamshell thing. So they took that 7 inches and they spiraled it around so it was about the size of a quarter.
Right.
So all of a sudden, that 7 inches that you needed to have space-wise was reduced to a much smaller form factor that made their CO2 devices. Well, we know people that worked for different companies that we just mentioned there that came up with a genius solution. And so I think Contemporary Controls, again, stands out that it's a quiet company by the style of business it does. It simply just works. It simply just gives you solutions. It simply just explains the network, tells you where your limb facts are going to be, tell you where your likely choke points problems are going to be, and then gives you the tools that you can solve it with,
Right.
and does it at a very, very economical
Well, they do great. And of
price
course,
point.
functional device, all of them on that list, Kenny, are great. So, but I think the operative thing, we want to encourage you to vote. But I tell you what, let's take a shot at one more, because we got the Control Trend Systems Integrator of the Year, and I think this speaks to how global the Control Trends community has become. And I've got the list up here on the screen, Kenny. And I'll just sort of walk through them. But we got CB Richard Ellis, ESI, which is Paul Oswald and his team out of Wisconsin. We got Pacific Controls out of Asia. We got MR Solutions out of Mexico City. Rennick Brothers out of Slippery Rock, PA. Bavarco out of the Netherlands. Alpha Controls and Services, Brent Bernardi and his team out of Illinois. Kruger Electric out of Canada. HVAC Concepts out of Frederick, Maryland, and they're the ones that do all the Wawa stores, so they're a big Distech dealer, I think. Control Systems Consultants out of Terrell, Texas. They made the finals last year. They do Johnson and Honeywell, Scott Toomey and that team. Navitas Systems Integrations out of Plymouth, Mass. They're one of John Donahue's. They're a big Honeywell player. Automated Air out of Australia. McKinney's out of Atlanta, which is just super, super strong. They do everything from Snyder Electric to Honeywell to Johnson Controls, and we have the good fortune of working with those guys. So, hi to everybody at McKinney's. Harris Controls out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. I mean, they are just a who's who. ATS, big Allerton guy out of Seattle that made it last year. So, Kenny, I think it speaks to the fact that with the systems integrators, we've got people from all over the globe.
We sure do, and that's exciting. Again, I just, I love talking about it. So, and because we've taken this thing in 5 years and we've made this go pretty global in scope. And when I see the locations, the number of countries that are participating in this year's vote so far is 48 years old. 48 countries so far. And what's amazing is inside every one of those countries is the same story of what we're doing right here. They're pushing air and water through buildings. They're saving energy. They're dealing with overhead expenditures. They're being challenged and disrupted by IoT, and they've got incredible people doing what we do here in Pittsburgh, what you do down there in Atlanta and in Florida, what we do in Western Pennsylvania, West Virginia. It's being done all over the world, in very similar, fashion. So we got incredible, visibility into India through our Control Trends India, through Samir Pradhan, and the people are proud of their champion contractors. So we now see that there's going to be competition that is global in scope, and so we know that Jim Young and some of the other big the industry stalwarts that have these visions of what's going to go on, and then we have like Paul Oswald and for CB Richard Ellis, and the things that they do with the global CB Richard Ellis is all over the world, and they now have put somebody like Paul Oswald into operation to help caretake their best interests on a global scale. So he's going to identify different contractors and different people in Singapore or in Malaysia or in India or in Australia. Australia is one of the neat discoveries for us that we didn't realize how amazing they were, because they feel that they're like out there on their own, and they've had to do a lot of stuff by themselves, and they've come up with some fabulous innovations.
Well, they really have, Kenny. And so part of the reason I brought up the international thing is obviously we don't know a lot about some of these international folks that are nominated, but if you do, if you're part of the global control trends community and you're dealing with one of these people, please reach out and comment and write something about them so that the rest of the control trends community can learn a little bit about them. We won't have time between now and the show to get these folks on for interviews, but if you know about them, please, and the comments right below, write something about these folks so that the rest of the control trends community can learn more about them. And Kenny, I tell you what, let's talk about voting real quick. We're going to wrap it down, but I want to do one more segment, which is, it's not too late to vote if you haven't voted already. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to put up on the screen, this is how you vote. Basically, you'll see on the right side of the screen, there is click to vote. You just basically click that button, and you'll get this voting ballot thing here. And you basically just start the voting process. You can see you enter your first name, last name, a valid email address. We will not share your email addresses with anybody, so you don't have to worry about that. But you can also copy that link before you vote and send it on to your network. You can only vote once, so once you use it, you're done. So if you want to send it to your network, send the link out from the Control Trend site. But once you vote, your link is no longer going to work. So it's not too late to vote. Voting will end the 17th or the 19th. It's exciting, Kenny. We're seeing just a rush of people voting. It's this is going to be one of the most exciting Control Trends awards yet. So anything else you want to say, Big Dog, before we wrap it up?
No, we've getting a lot of questions. Mike Hobbs out there wants to know how he can get a ticket. Mike, let me just see if it pops up.
The gist of it, now Mike might be a sponsor, so the gist of it, what's going to happen, like it has in previous years, is we will email the tickets to the sponsors, and that'll happen, probably a week prior to the show. So if you're not sure, you can reach out to our Stacy McCammon at Stacy, STACIE, at stromquist.com, or you can just go and comment, say, Stacy, please contact me. She will basically email your tickets to the designated person probably about a week before the show. Okay.
Understood. All right, Eric. Well, yeah, it's like you say, we're going to get these tickets emailed out. If there's any difficulties or problems, of course, we're going to be on hand there at the door and work everything out. We have one of our entry lists will have everything that we know might have issues with people getting logistics and tickets or whatever. But the system works. We'll email out the tickets. If there's any questions, then get in touch with us. And
we're rocking and rolling.
Just to reemphasize, don't be late.
You want to be early, and remember,
you want to be sitting.
Right. Remember, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. What happens at the Control Trends Awards gets blasted around the planet. So be there or be square. That's it. Another week on Control Talk Now, your smart buildings videocast and podcast for the week ending January 15th, 2017. We're getting ready for the Control Trends Awards. We're on the glide path, so to speak. So we appreciate you checking us out. So remember, be bold. Stay in control.
Indeed, Eric.
Be Kenny Smart. And when Kenny comes on stage at the Control Trends Awards, we want everybody to stand up and go, indeed, Kenny. All right, brother.
Yeah.